Many younger fans only really know of Chauncey Billups as a head coach, which is his current role with the Portland Trailblazers, but many may not realize just how good of a player he was. His biggest accolade was winning Finals MVP after the Detroit Pistons beat the LA Lakers in the 2004 NBA Finals. But more interesting is that he actually was a regular season MVP candidate multiple times in his career. He finished 5th in voting in 2005-06, 11th in 06-07, 6th in 08-09, which was the year he was traded from Detroit to Denver, and then came in 12th in 09-10. As far as his style of play, Billups was really a complete player without being super electric. I feel like he was a larger, more polished version of Kyle Lowry. He was extremely cerebral and poised, which made up for his lack of conventional athleticism. Something we saw a lot from him offensively was dribbling into a post-up, particularly against smaller guards, and then quickly spinning off his defender to either drive to the basket or pull up for short jumpers or floaters. He used his body so well, often posting up, but instead of backing his man all the way down, he would just spin off them and completely elude his defender, especially when there was no backside rim protection. Here are some more clips that show his blend of size, craftiness, and sudden shifts while posting up. There have been a few guards in NBA history that have done this well. Jalen Brunson is one of the current ones that does this quite a bit and at a high level. Drew Holiday is another guard that I've seen do this pretty well throughout his career. I remember Andre Miller being very good at this as well during his NBA career. Another big thing for Billups was his shooting efficiency from the mid-range all the way out to beyond the three-point line. From the 2002-03 through the 2008-09 seasons, Billups was one of only 6 guards to appear in at least 500 games and have an effective field goal percentage above 50%, with the others being Steve Nash, Tony Parker, Jason Terry, Mike Bibby, and Raja Bell. In that same time frame, Billups was one of 37 players to take at least 4,000 shots from at least 10 feet out, and he made 40.5% of those attempts, which was the 10th best percentage out of those 37 players. He was great using the glass. He made so many bank shots even when he was somewhat off balance. He also had a very good step-back jumper. He was really good at creating space by bumping off his defenders and then using an escape dribble before rising up. The defender's momentum often went backward, which gave Billups just enough room to launch off the bounce. He just had this smooth, fundamental component to his game that defenders struggled guarding because of his size, strength, and flow. He had a great pull-up jump shot from three-point distance, both out of pick and roll sets. And when accelerating up the floor and stopping and popping. Just in general, he was an outstanding perimeter shooter. 5 times in his career, he shot over 40% from three-point range. In 2005-06, he took the 10th most threes and knocked down 43.3% of them. Among the 38 players that season who took at least 300 threes, that was the 5th best mark that year. Only Mike James, Raja Bell, Steve Nash, and Ben Gordon shot it better. Now, he wasn't that great of a finisher near the basket. In fact, in the 2005-06 season, he only shot 43.3% on 194 attempts within 3 feet of the basket. He was one of only 3 players that year to take at least 100 shots from this short range and make under 45% of them. Raymond Felton and Ben Gordon were the other 2. Billups' nickname was Mr. Big Shot because of all the clutch shots he made. Now, in the research that I found on shot attempts in the regular season that he took that would have either given his team the lead or tied the game in the last 30 seconds of regulation or in overtime, he made 18 of his 79 attempts, which is just 22.8%. That's according to StatHead. From 1997, which is when he was drafted, until his last year, which was 2013-14, he was tied with Jason Terry for the 13th most of these attempts. In that time frame, there were 26 players that took at least 60 of them. Billups ranked 22nd in percentage. Interestingly, also in this time frame, the player with the best percentage with at least 60 attempts was Rudy Gay at 43.9%, and second was Carmelo Anthony at 38.8%. The player with the worst field goal percentage in these time and score circumstances was Jason Kidd at 17.6%. Now, with that said, Billups did hit a lot of big shots that sealed wins to go along with those 18 that put his team in front or tied it in the final 30 seconds. If you stretch that out to 45 seconds or less in regulation or in overtime, Billups made 24 shots that put his team in front or tied it. His most memorable clutch shot came in Game 5 of Detroit's 2004 Eastern Conference semifinal series against the New Jersey Nets, when he beat the buzzer with a game-tying three-pointer just past half court. The Pistons would end up losing this game in 3 overtimes, but still won the series in 7 games. A few other notables about Billups offensively: he was an outstanding free throw shooter and initiated contact a fair amount. He shot over 90% from the line 6 times, and for his career shot 89.4%. He's one of only 4 players in NBA history to take at least 5,000 free throws and shoot above 88% in a career. The others are Reggie Miller, Kevin Durant, and Damian Lillard. Also, Billups always did a great job taking care of the ball. The most turnovers he averaged in a season was 2.5 in 2010-11, but his career average was just 2.0. He's one of only 21 guards in NBA history to play in at least 1,000 games and average under 2.1 turnovers per contest. He had such a high basketball IQ and was so unselfish that he was probably the main reason why the Pistons in the 2000s had such great chemistry. His highest assist average came in 2005-06 when he averaged 8.6 dimes per game, 4th most in the league that year. One thing that always stood out to me was how well he and Rasheed Wallace connected. Rasheed was one of the first bigs to really space the floor. In fact, in that 05-06 season, he averaged the 10th most three-point attempts in the entire league. That pick and pop with Billups and Rasheed was dangerous every time. Although he wasn't known for being fancy or anything, he had a little bit of subtle razzle-dazzle in his game. Occasionally you would see him make these behind-the-back passes that drew some oohs and ahs. To top it all off, Billups was a great defender, even though he never racked up a lot of steals. In fact, his career average in steals was just 1.0. He was just fundamentally sound. Remember, the Pistons were one of the best teams in the 2000s primarily because of their defense. From the 2002-03 season through the 2007-08 season, they ranked in the top 6 each of those years in defensive rating and top 5 in all but one of them. Now, it took a little while for Billups to really establish himself in the league. It was his second year in Minnesota playing alongside Kevin Garnett that we started to see more growth. He split his rookie campaign in Boston and Toronto, then played 2 years in Denver and 2 in Minnesota before really emerging in Detroit. After 6.5 seasons with the Pistons, he was traded back to the Nuggets in the Allen Iverson deal, played portions of 3 seasons during that Denver stint, then was dealt to New York in the Carmelo Anthony trade in 2011. He finished his career playing for the Clippers for 2 years, and then wrapped up things with a return to Detroit in 2013-14. All in all, he was a 5-time NBA All-Star, made the All-NBA second team once, and third team twice. He also twice made the NBA All-Defensive second team. While he never played in the Olympics, he was on Team USA's 2007 FIBA America's Gold winning team and their 2010 FIBA World Championship team that also won the gold. So that'll wrap up this video. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe.